Welcome to Behind the Curtain IMO. I'm Betsy Jordan. Again, I'm trying to figure out why people, I think, who are so smart are allowing themselves to believe in a person to be president who has said such derogatory and even unkind things about large groups of people, and who has done numerous things to betray people who've worked with him, people who he's employed. It didn't make sense, and so I keep trying to understand it. Why? Because I just believe that we are supposed to be united and not divided. So Donald Trump was once a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. He was once a playboy, sinner, whatever, and now he is forgiven. But I will say that the organization that took him in seems to be interested more in power than in what Jesus would do. But again, judge not lest ye be judged. That is a common tenet known to Christians everywhere. In trying to understand evangelical and fundamental Christianity, which is so seemingly attached to the themes in the Trump campaign or behind the Trump message, I was struck with how different it seems the practices of creating an us and them environment. Let me see if I can say this better. I've really been struggling with how to say this. I spoke to a brilliant person and brilliant sorority sister, Frank and Melanie Spencer. Frank has been to divinity school, and they both went to school with me, University of North Carolina. And two of my favorite classes in school were in the humanities, religion, the history of, and then there was New Testament. And in my New Testament course, we had a linguist, and we had an historian, and we had a divinity school professor, and they visited. The divinity school professor came over from Duke, so our rivalry was not alive and well in that classroom. I learned a lot about the history, the fact that the Bible is not a lot about what Jesus actually said, because it was an oral storytelling, but the quotes were years old, at least 50 years after his death, from some of the disciples or supposedly disciples, and that the Aramaic text, of course, which was the original language of the Bible, had been translated many, many times. And we know from just talking from one language to English, we know that that's tough and is very easy to misinterpret. So why would anyone take the Bible so literally, which fundamentalist Christians tend to want to do? Not only that, but they're adopting the King James Version, which eliminates whole writings and whole teachings of the original books. The other thing that you find in fundamentalist Christianity, and by the way, I did learn that fundamentalist Christianity in the United States is very different from Christianity in Europe, and that the idea of a Christ coming again is unique to the United States of America. And then I was like, how is this shaping these folks' politics? How is it shaping how they're choosing their leaders? And why is it us and them? Because the appearance to me of fundamentalist Christianity is they're taking over the Israeli lobby. I know that is primarily fundamentalist Christian folks in charge. And I am a Christian, right? And I believe in the Christ consciousness. I believe in the covenant of love. I believe that Jesus Christ did live and died and also was resurrected. I believe he had superior knowledge. I believe in some way we may be able to prove it. I don't know, but I do know that I don't need proof to believe that occurred. And I know that the basis of my faith is about Jesus being an invitation. And of course, the fundamentalist Christians believe the same as I do, that Jesus Christ was the way, the truth, and the light, okay? Whosoever believeth in me shall not perish, but have life everlasting. What that means to me is that you don't have to have the church to be a believer. And Jesus lived his life, apparently, as an invitation for people to follow him. But I don't see that in today's fundamental Christianity. I see in them a fear that the United States is going to go to hell. And when somebody comes along and tries to control you, then what happens is you rebel against that control. It's not an invitation. It doesn't exactly make someone who's a non-believer into a believer. So then it becomes a separation of, do you believe or do you not? If you don't believe, then you can't be one of us, and I'm not going to invite you to my party. And what's worse, I believe that you're trying to take my faith away from me. That's what it goes to, is a separation and a fear that not only are you going to hell, but we think you're going to take us with you. That is not my understanding of what it means to be a Christian. However, it is the way of the fundamentalist Christian folks who also believe that Jesus is coming again, true only of American Christians, right? And therefore, they need to take over Jerusalem so that Christ can come again. And they're making way. So that means the Catholics and the Jews who don't believe necessarily that Christ is coming again, right? The Jews didn't believe Jesus was a prophet, but not that he was the way, right? And so fundamentalist Christians who believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible, and also then some, adding that Christ is coming again because of the way that they're interpreting that literal nature of the Bible, believe that Jews and Catholics are not Christian either. Jews are not, but Catholics profess to be. So now they have to be supportive of Israel. It's truly aligned with their faith. But what it is telling me is that there's just an attitude of control. Like, we are the chosen ones and you are not. And therefore, we don't think you should have rights in this country. There's a collapsed distinction. You can be a Christian and also believe other people can live their life freely and be an invitation for people. But the judgment comes in the kingdom of heaven. Judge not, lest ye be judged. So I see how Donald Trump has stoked the fear of Christian people and has exalted it to be like, we need to have a Christian nation. It needs to be about Christianity. But it also seems to be, you don't get to have rights unless you are, because I'm afraid you're going to take my lifestyle away. And then it stokes that fear, stokes that violence, stokes that division in the name of religion. And then Christianity becomes weaponized. This is Behind the Curtain, IMO. Thank you for being here.